All right, so let's start off with a rational. Well, let's start off with the trinomial first. Now, anytime a trinomial is done in this class, it's going to be done by how? Completing the square. Okay, so I don't even care what the directions say. What's the question? 24x squared.
Plus 10x minus 25.
24x squared
Plus 10x minus 25.
All right, so those of you that remember how to complete the square, go ahead and start. Now, the first thing some of y'all might think is you can factor out a 2 or whatever. And yeah, that's okay. But to complete the square, we're going to factor out that 24. So it's going to make everything better, more difficult. Did you come from Clemson? Where'd you come from? Is there a wreck somewhere? Okay, forget it. Evidently not. Must be between Pendleton and Clemson. There's a wreck somewhere because I had a couple of students say they were going to be really late. So I told them I was going to lock the door at 8 o'clock. 24x squared plus 10x plus blank is equal to 25 plus blank. Factor out to 24. Whatever you factor out on one side, you have to multiply by the blank on this side. Now you can reduce this if you want to. Doesn't matter to me, I don't care. It's up to you. What would that be? 5/12, something like that. So 24 times x squared plus 5/12 x plus blank is equal to 25 plus 24 times 20. Now what do we do? Now that we got, take our handy dandy red pen or blue. I don't like to use that red pen. Since we got a is equal to 1 there, we can now complete the what? Square. How do you complete the square? That's not rhetorical. You're supposed to know. B over what? B over 2, and then what? Squared. So B over 2 and squared. Of course, what do y'all do at this point? Melt down? Because it's a fraction, you melt down, right? No, you put a 1 over this 2, and then you multiply by what? Reciprocal? It's going to be a BA number, because nothing cancels. 24, which will give you 25. 25 squared is 625. Somebody's got to help me out with 24 squared. What's 24 squared? I don't know that in my head. 576. So we're going to put 2576. 25 over 576. Now that would give you shortcut number 1 or number 2 here, which is shortcut number what? Shortcut number 1, because it's got a plus there. So that's going to give you, I'm going to write down here, 24 times x plus 5 over 24 quantity squared is equal to, was there a wreck on the road?
Yeah, I have a 2-hour drive from Charlotte.
No, I'm just looking for that rec. There's a rec somewhere, I'm trying to find it.
Oh, no, there.
Okay. All right, 24, x plus 5 over 24, now we gotta do all that plus over here. But remember, 24 will go into 576, how many times? 24 times, Hubert. That's right, 24 times 24 is 576, so you should be able to get that. So you can cancel this 24 with this 576, and then we gotta change this into 24, so somebody multiply 25 times 24 right quick. 600 even? So this is 600 over 24. So, oh my, 625, that's a perfect square, isn't that nice? So that comes out to be 625 over 24 times 24 is 570 what? All right, now at that point you can find your vertex. Where was the red?
It was like, yeah, your next office.
Oh, and Daniel
Uh,
Daniel High School, I know where the three-way stop is.
no, it's like where we meet sometimes. It's like that.
Is High Point, it is Aquina? I'm trying to think where High Point is. Oh, okay, I know where you're at now. Well, of course, yeah. One red, 30 cops, that's about right. All right, now find your vertex, yes ma'am. Yes, I was multiplying this. Let's see if this works. Oh my gosh, it works. Something has happened this weekend. We have had divine intervention. My eraser works. Thank you. Now, find your vertex and then find your x-intercepts and graph your line or graph your parabola. Because I got to take that over to the next page or I make it smaller. Let's see if we can make it smaller. Took me a year to figure out how to work this thing. You're supposed to ask me why didn't we learn it in training? Somebody asked me that. We didn't have any training. None whatsoever. We still got teachers don't even know how to use this thing. Don't even use it because they don't know how to use it. Gotta love the state government, right? All right, so what's our vertex? Negative 5 over 24 and negative 625 over 24. And at that point, you can punch out in your calculator to get your decimals to plot it. Of course, this is 5 over 25. That's around 0.2. And I don't know what that is, around 25, 24. Going there, 25 is 600, that's 600, maybe 26, negative 26, somebody check that for me. Anyway, go over here, and 24 times x plus 5 over 24 squared is equal to 625 over 24. Divide by 24. Divide by 24 over 1, which means you multiply by what? There's where I multiply 24 by. I knew I did it somewhere. And that'll give us x plus 5 over 24, y squared, is equal to 625 over what? 576. That's right, class. Now take the square root of both sides. And x plus 5 over 24 is equal to positive or negative 25 over what? 24 Bring the negative 5 over 24 over. And your x-intercepts are, what's 25 minus 5? 20 over, you don't do that much, right? That's one x-intercept. And then your other x-intercept, is negative 30 over 24. And you can reduce that down, but I really don't care because I just want you to see the mechanics of it. So you're talking about, somebody tell me what kind of graph this is. Look at the 24. What kind of graph is it? Everybody should be answering that question. Is it wide? Is it skinny? Is it a normal parabola? Have we not went over the family of graphs? I thought we went over that. Yeah, I think we did too. I just ignored it. So it's a skinny graph because that's above 1. That right there is above 1, so it's a very skinny graph. Or it's compressed along the x-axis or stretched along the y-axis. This vertex is negative 0.2, and I said that's around 26. Somebody check it for me. What is it? Around 26. Okay, thank you. What's my y-intercept? Negative 25. Thank you, class. And 20 over 24 is less than 1. So positive 1 is less than positive 1. And then this right here is going to be 1 and 6 over 24, which is 1 over 1/4 or something, 1 1/4. So is it a skinny parabola? What's the domain? All real numbers. On a parabola, it's all real numbers. What's the range? Negative blah, blah, blah to infinity. It's decreasing from negative infinity to what? To 5/24. And then increasing from 5/24 to what? Now, to answer your question, this is how you should do all quadratics in calculus, unless you're told specifically this is just extra practice. In other words, if you're given a quadratic, if you use complete the square and you do everything that I do here on every single problem, then when you have to do it, you won't, it'll be second nature. But if you follow the directions precisely and do exactly what they say and factor out of 24 and then factor it and then get your 2 x-intercepts, then when you're supposed to know how to do all this, you won't know it. So that's why I do complete the square with every single trinomial that I do. Now, what about 24, what did you say, 24x squared plus 10x, and then minus 25. Well, you can't factor out anything, so you could do the reverse FOIL. And reverse FOIL, break up this term, 1, 24, 2, 12, 3, 4, 6, 3, 8, 4, 5, 6, and starts to wrap back around, so you're done. Over here, we got 1 and 25, 5 and 5. Well, this number is generally low compared to these two numbers, so I'm going to try with the middle two first. So the middle is 4 and 6 and 5 and 5. So I'm going to put a 4 and 6 here and a 5 and 5 here. The outside and the inside is the most important. That's going to give me a 20 and a what? Oh my gosh. A 20 and a 30 will give me a 50 or a what? A 10, so I'm lucky. What kind of 10 do we want? So that means the biggest number of the outside and inside has to be what? Positive. What's bigger, 30 or 20? What does this tell you, like or unlike? Unlike. So this is positive. So you get 4x plus 5 times 6x minus 5 is equal to 0. And then you can solve it. And that's how you do the reverse FOIL. That's the cubism way of doing it. And if you don't know how to do it, you can go to, no, I'm just kidding. If you want me to go over it, I'll be glad to go over it.
No, you know that.
I did? Okay. So that's the other way you get negative 5/4. Y'all check me on that. There. No problem. And 5/6, right? Would that be 5/6? Y'all check me. I think that's the same thing we got. Somebody check the numbers on our last. Yeah. There's 5, 6 right here. I think. Huh? I think they come out to be the same.
That is.
Okay, right there, yeah. You want to do a nerd? Okay, let's do a nerd. I'll go a little bit easier on you this time. How about that? 10x squared minus 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. All right, try that one. And I want you to do the whole kit and caboodle. Lay off your multiple red 0. About $6 a pack, they are.
Oh, yeah.
I was up in New York. I told y'all I took my son to New York on train ride. And it was just as hot and humid up there as it was down here. And people were like, I thought South Carolina was bad with Marlboro Club. No. New York is just as bad. And I'm like, people are out here dying, sweating, and hot, and people are out here smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, I just don't understand. It's a conspiracy, is what it is. I'm going to be optimistic and say that you're finished. So 10x squared minus 4x plus blank is equal to 5 plus 1. Factor out 10. X squared minus 4 over 10x plus blank is equal to 5 plus 10 times 1. Remember, take your handy dandy highlighter. Whatever you factor out, you have to multiply on that side. Now the reason that is because one way of teaching completing the square does everything on the left-hand side of the equal sign. I have found that that is the most terrible way to teach students how to do complete the square because it confuses everybody. So this is why I teach it this way. So whatever you factor out here, you put right there. Now we haven't completed the square yet. Why not? Because we have to have x is equal to what before we can complete the square? X has to equal 1. Right now, I'm sorry, that has to equal x squared plus bx plus c That A has to equal 1 before we can complete the square. So, we take our handy dandy B term, and you can reduce it if you don't want to reduce it, that's fine, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to reduce it. I reduced it in the last one, you don't have to reduce it. 4 over 10 divided by 2 over 1, and I'm going to square it. Now the reason I write out every step here for 2 reasons. One is I'm teaching you how to do it. The other reason is whenever you get confused with a fraction, always write out everything as a fraction. It always helps. That's why I do this. So 4 over 10 multiplied by 1 over 2, and that's going to be 4, and you can cancel here. That'd be 2, 210 is what, 1/5? Y'all check me. Comes out to be 1/5 squared, right? Y'all check me. And that's equal to 1/25. That goes there. Now you got shortcut number what over here? Number what? Number 2. You're either gonna have shortcut 1 or 2, so all it depends on is that sign right there. So that's gonna give you 10 times x minus 1 over 5 quantity squared is equal to, let's go ahead and knock this 5 out. That 5 will go in here 2 times, 5 will go in there 5 times. Change this into 25/5. So what's 25 plus 2? 27 over 5. Let me multiply that again. And now you've got your vertex. So we've got our y-intercept is 0, -5. Because that's always going to be your y-intercept. And then our vertex is going to be positive 1/5 and negative 27/5. Now we finish it. Divide by 10 over 1. Or, I'm sorry. Divide by 10 over 1. Multiply by 1 over 10. So x minus 1/5 quantity squared is equal to, I don't think I'm canceling anything out, 27 over 50. Somebody check it.
What did you do before you said?
Shortcut number 2. So take the square root, and I'm going to take that over. I'm going to make it small, and we're going to continue that because it's going to take more than that little space right there. And I wouldn't have known how to do that if I didn't grow up on CAD. You know, where you explode things and unexplode. Yeah, I had no idea what I'm talking about. 1 or 2 if you do. So, x minus 1/5 quantity squared is equal to 27 over 50. I was happy, squirrel, I was happy this weekend that all 3 of my teams won. Clemson won, Georgia won, and South Carolina won. But none of them was too pretty. Did you notice that? All 3 of them were kind of ugly. Maybe next week will be better. I want to see some 36s to 0s, some 42 to 6. I want to see those. That squirrel. X minus 5, or 1/5, sorry. Alright, come on, let me erase 1 over 5 is equal to square root of 27 over the square root of 50. And at this point, we're locked down because we have to rationalize the denominator. Right? Okay, so first of all, that square root of 50 can be broken up into what? Square root of 27. That square root of 27 can be broken up also. Might as well break up what we can. That's going to be dang old square root of 9 times square root of what? 3. Square root of 25 over, times square root of 2. And then that's going to give you x minus 1/5. This is a good problem. We actually got a lot in. Through square root of 3 over 5 square root of what? 2. And to rationalize the denominator, because I don't want that square root of 2 in there, I multiply by what? Square root of 2 over square root of 2. And that's going to give me x minus 1/5 is equal to 3 times square root of 6 over what? Oh my gosh, there's common denominator. This is here. And then bring that 1/5 over. 5 times 2 is 10. Hey, dumb, I was hoping it'd be 5. Oh well. So much for that. 2 times 2 is square root of 4. 5 times 2 is 10. So we've got to change this to 2 over what? 10. We brought that over, and that's 2 over 10. Now, if you're having a problem with that 2 over 10, and when I flip, then you need to brush up on your common denominators, because you've been depending on that little idiot box too much. So, our x-intercepts, x is equal to, well, we want to get we got common denominator. This is plus or minus. Well, that plus or minus right here comes out even. What did you say? I don't know, because I've got to figure out what the square root of 6 is. The square root of 6 is between the square root of 4 and the square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3, square root of 4 is 2, 2.5 is in the middle, so we've got to figure out what's in the middle over here. Between 4 and 9 is what? 5. Half of 5 is what? 2.5. 2.5 would be 6.5, so the square root of 6.5 is 2.5. So 6, what do we need? 6. I'd say, let's do it again. Let's do it one more time. 4 to 6.5 is what? 2.5. Half of 2.5 is 1.75. So that'd be 5.75 is equal to 2.25. So I'm going to say it's around 2.3. Y'all check me. So positive or negative 3 times 2.3 plus 2 all over 10. Now, do you notice what you're using with completing the square? What have I yet to pick up? What Faith has in her hand right now? The calculator. That's why I can make changes to cash register. So, what's 3 times 2.3? They know 6.9, right? So that's positive or negative. 6.9 plus 2 over 10. Now, 6.9 plus 2 is what? 8.9. That's right, class. Oh, look at this. This is awful. 8.9 over 10. When you divide by 10, you move the decimal 0.89. So that's 1/8. What's negative 6.9 plus 2? You owe somebody $6.90. You got 2 in your pocket. You owe them what? $4.90. So that's negative 0.49. Now, my numbers may be off a little bit, but what am I doing? My end result is what am I going to be doing? Is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be sketchy. So am I worried that I'm the width of a pen or width of a pencil lead off? No. I just want to sketch the graph so I know what's going on with the graph. So, what kind of graph we got? A skinny graph. We've got a y-intercept of 0, -5. And Hubert, you haven't went back and checked anything. Well, if anything's wrong mathematically, what's going to tell me? The graph's going to tell you. Something's not going to line up right. You're not going to go back and find it. So, dang old -0.5. Dang old 1. And our vertex should be in the fourth quadrant. It is 1/5, which is right here. And then negative, what, 5, 2/5, which is 5 4/10, which is 5.5. 25 or 5.5, somewhere down here. Yeah, it's got to be below. Look at there. Everything what? Lines up. That's right. What's my domain? All real numbers. What's my range? -5 4/10 to infinity. What's my decreasing values? -infinity to 1/5. And my increasing values from 1/5 to what? Infinity. So if you can do complete the square, guess what? You can do just about anything with quadratic. That's why completing the square is so important. And I guarantee you somebody in here went all through pre-calculus and didn't use it a single time.
Yeah, one goes.
No, I'm done. What?
Only, the 10 up there that's highlighted, the stuff that made that a 2.
I'm looking where?
The second highlighted 10.
Right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I one cross that out.
10 over 1 times 1 over 25. Can't see it because it's so small. So how many times, see these diagonal?
Yeah.
5 will go into 10, how many times? 5 will go in here. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I factor out the 10, then why you just randomly put it 10?
That's something you don't want to answer. Because the original, hold on, I'm getting that. Give me the problem again, because I don't have no short-term memory. What is it? 10x squared minus 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. 10x squared minus 4x minus 5 plus blank minus blank is equal to 0. That's the way you do complete the square when you initially teach it. Everything's done on what side of the equal sign. Everything's done on the left-hand side. So when you factor that 10 out, you also have to factor it out of this whole thing right here. And when you bring it over, it comes, you're multiplying by that blank.
So that would make them probably divide 5 by 10.
Well, that's what you do when you factor. You divide.
Then how can we divide?
It works out. It works out. The best way I can tell you is don't think about it too much. Because what happens here is you factor out a 10. But whatever you factor out here, you've got to factor out here. And it just works better the other way and just take it as I explained. Because unless you want to write down a half-page derivation. And I just don't think that's important right now. Now when you get into 4-level mathematics, if you get there, that's when it's important for you to understand. But right now it's not very important. Okay? All right, rationalizing the denominator. Does that help you with those two problems? Okay. Rationalizing the denominator. 4 over the square root of 7. There's one example. 3 over x plus the square root of 2. And the last one, x plus 1 over the square root of 3 plus the square root of 2. All right? Take a minute and work on those. Can't do it, just meditate.
What if that 7 was a 6 root.
What if a frog had wings? Don't ask if, okay? What if it was what?
The 6th root.
Then you'd have a heck of a mess.
That was a problem I had with.
Well, you gotta think in terms of the 6. You gotta think in terms of, this was the 6th root of 7, 4 over the 6th root of 7. And you gotta think in terms of 1 to the 6th power, 2 to the 6th power, 3 to the 6th power, 4 to the 6th power. You gotta write all those down. 5 to the 6th power is probably enough. And then you got to figure out what 7 will go into one of these. So that's 1, that's 64. I have no idea what 3 to the 6th is. 3 times 3 times 3, that's going to be 27 times 27. So what's 27 times 27?
729.
I'm sorry, what?
729.
729, I think. 7, no,
4096.
4096. See, that's divisible by 7. Are any of these numbers divisible? I know this one's not, but that one's not. I don't think that one is. Is 4096 divisible by 7? Then keep going. What's 5 to the 6th?
1565.
Well, let's just do this. Let's just do, well, you could do the 6th root of 7 to the 6th power. Do that.
How would you do that?
Well, what's 7 to the 1st power? No, to the 5th power.
So it's just a square root.
There. Now, what is 1 plus 5?
6.
6. So that would be 4 times 6th root of 7 to the 5th power over the 6th root of 7 to the 6th. And what's the 6th root of 7 to the 6th power? 7. So 4 6th root of 7 to the 5th power over 7. Remember the Coca-Cola machine? These are in nickels. So you gotta think of everything in nickels. You can't use quarters, you gotta use nickels. I didn't know that's the type of question you have. That's a Yankee Doodle question. Was that on the homework? Well, that probably would not be a test question. These problems that I'm putting over here, especially these two are test questions right here. So what I multiply by here? Well, you just do whatever will give you a perfect square. And that'll be 4 square root of 7 over 7. These two you have to use what? Conjugate. If I spelled it right. I always want to put an N in there. No, gaunt. I always want to put a gaunt in there. So what's the conjugate of x plus 2? X minus 2, just put a square root in there. So multiply by x minus square root 2 over x minus square root 2. And what will that always give you on the bottom of the conjugate?
Squared.
Shortcut number what? 3. Okay. So that's going to give you shortcut number 3. And then shortcut number 3 gives you x squared minus what? 2. Y'all check me. And up here, we don't care about it. Because if I ask you to rationalize the denominator, do I really care about the numerator? No, because what am I going to be looking at for grading? I'm going to be looking at to make sure you've got the right answer in the denominator. Now you can distribute that 3. You can do it by calculator and take the square root of 2 and more. I don't care what you do with the 3. I don't care about that. What's the conjugate of square root of 3 plus 2? 3 minus 2. What's that gonna give us on the bottom?
3 minus 2,
Which is,
4, 1.
now if you don't know your shortcut, it's gonna suck at it. Okay? Because the conjugate is really not that hard to remember. What is the conjugate of A plus B? A minus B. So y'all not gonna suck at that. What are you gonna suck at? Algebra. What do calculus students that suck at calculus, what do they suck at? Algebra. That's why I spend so much time going over this algebra. I don't do it because I like it. Okay? X plus 1, but you pay me to teach you how to do calculus. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Once you know how to redo algebra. And of course, you don't need to put it over 1. Is that better? Just remember, the conjugate will always give you shortcut number 3. I'm sorry, what? I multiply the top. Now you can FOIL that, but just remember, if somebody asks you to rationalize the denominator, they really don't care about the numerator as far as reducing, unless they say in the directions. Make sure you reduce the numerator all the way down to the simplified, most simplified. It'll be in the directions. Most of the time, they don't care about it. Capiche? All right. Any other questions right quick? All right. No, I talked about that. You wasn't listening. Okay. Loser. That's why you're going to live in the ditch. All right. So let's take up where we left off before. I want you to, now in your homework, when I do assign it, it's going to say use the property to find the derivative or to find the slope. When you see that use the property or use the identity, that means you're going to use the difference quotient. So all of my homework for the next couple of sections is going to use the difference quotient versus the derivative. Now I'm going to go ahead and squeeze a little bit of calculus in here, even though we haven't officially got into calculus yet. I'm just going to show you the basic rule because I want you to see and appreciate the calculus because you don't have to do all of that algebra. Now, the algebra is going to keep on going. You count 1, 2, and 3. It's not just for the difference quotient. So let's do f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x. All right, I want you to put that through the difference quotient. To remind you, the difference quotient is m is equal to f of x plus h minus f of x over x over h. Now, where are my pre-cal students that took this in high school? You remember going over this? Difference quotient?
I've seen.
You've seen it where?
It's like geometry, utility, good all in one.
High school?
Yeah.
Where?
That's next from the
Okay. So you have seen quotient? Or not quotient? A little bit. Introduction. How about y'all? Anybody back here? Anybody seen the difference quotient? Where'd you see it? In high school. Okay. Well, you're going to get more than 3 weeks now because you're going to do about 10 or 15 of these problems where you stick x plus h in there and you do the algebra. So that means that I'm going to rewrite this f of x plus h means that I'm going to rewrite this with a big set of parentheses wherever there's what? An x. So m is equal to a big set of parentheses plus big set of parentheses. I'm going to put that in brackets. In that brackets, I'm going to highlight that with yellow. And that is this right here. Okay? Now, I don't want y'all going stupid on me. What did I tell you to do last week? If you have an f of 3, what do? Plug it in for 3. If you have an f of star, what do? Plug it in star wherever there's an x. If you have an x plus h, f of x plus h, That means wherever there's an X, you're gonna what? You're gonna plug in. So don't do that retroactive, I don't know what you're doing. You said last week you understood what the F of 3 meant, what the F of starting. So don't go back there. Then I'm going to minus what? You put brackets here too. And what goes in those brackets? F of x. What is f of x? X squared plus 2x. All over h. Now, if some of you are saying, well, how did you know to do it? This is what I did when I was a student in calculus. I wrote those big parentheses. I would write them bigger than that. When I used f composed of g and g composed of f, I always wrote the original equation. I took the x out and I put big sets of parentheses. And it works to this day. So let me take my handy dandy green highlighter. And that is this. So hopefully you're starting to see the correlation. If you see in it, and you haven't seen this before, then that's good. If you see what I'm doing. So now I take my handy dandy black pen. Well, I'm going to do blue. I'm going to put what here? All right, now do your algebra. Because 90% of this problem is algebra. So, if you suck at algebra, you're going to suck at the difference quotient. Oh, an update on my Geo Sketchpad. They tried to contact the company and the company won't contact us. We wanted to buy licenses for the Geo Sketchpad for the whole math department. And they won't call us back. I guarantee you if somebody wanted to take one of my refresher courses, I guarantee you I'd call them back. I don't know, some people. It's all Bush's fault. I'm going to spin this up to the air conditioner. Is it a little bit warm in here, y'all? Okay. No, it's probably not there. You probably like prices a little bit. Well, hot flashes, yeah. What is this? All right, one person, yes. Thank you. You get an A for the class. You can go home. You interacted with me. Thank you. X squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus, what are you going to do here? Distribute 2x plus 2h. Really? I had to screw it up, didn't I? I screwed up my eraser. So much for that. Does this minus cause a problem? Oh yes, it does. If you don't distribute that -1 right there, you might as well just quit because you've done the problem wrong. That negative does what? Do you know that I pushed a desk in Pickens 122? I'll never forget it. I pushed a desk over because of this rule right here. Rosemary was my teacher. She shut me in because I did it after she went in the office. And I walked out. It's a stupid rule. But Mr. Green saw it, who was the teacher in the next room, and I had to apologize to the class to go back into the classroom. Because I had the fool. But distributing negative. Anybody ever had a property in algebra that they just could not stand or could not get? Well, it took me a couple of semesters to understand that negative, and all somebody had to do, which Rosemary did, she dotted in a little one. That's all she had to do. That's what the difference between the presenter and the teacher. That little -1 opened up a whole new door, because then I said, well, yeah, if there's a -2 there, it would be -2. I don't have a problem with distributing -2s. I have a problem with distributing -0, because at that time I thought it was 0. Shows you how stupid I was. But anyway, put that little -1. If you ever get confused, put that little dotted -1 in. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen to all your x terms? They should cancel out. That's what's supposed to happen. And all that's left is your what? H terms. So, M is equal to 2xh plus h squared plus 2h over h. Now, a lot of people factor out the h on top, and you can, and then it'll cancel, or you can just go through and do your slanted lines like you do. However you want to do it, I don't care. But if you was to factor out the h, you'd get 2h times 2x plus h plus 2 over h. And what happens to the h's? So, m is equal to 2x plus h plus 2. Now, all of this is what? Algebra. Good. You've been listening. All right? All of this is 100% algebra. Now what are we going to do? We'll insert the limit theory in here, but make h go to what? Make h go to 0. So, take this out. I don't have my eraser anymore, so limit as h goes to what? And that takes that out. Where did that come from? I don't know. And you're left with 2x plus what?
Is there a button on that?
Yeah, this is the mouse. And I know how to use it, but it doesn't have anything to do with the eraser. When I use that highlighter, it substituted the eraser with the highlighter. Okay. It must try to think and say, okay, he's using the highlighter now, so I'm going to make the highlighter go with the eraser.
I think I was teaching the random word for the
Yeah, I think you can. But I must have done something. So, but I've had plenty of training. I'll figure it out. All right. So tell me what 2x plus 2 is. That's what I heard. Well, yeah. But what is it? I want a definition. Slope is the equation for the slope of the tangent line at any point on that curve. Now, I want everybody right now to either on your calculator or by hand, I want you to graph that function. Graph it. It shouldn't be hard to graph by hand because you know it's a parabola. It's going to have a parabola type shape to it. Just graph about 6 or 7 points. Make sure you graph it where you can draw on it. Make it big enough. After you graph it on your calculator, transfer it over to your paper and draw something similar. We'll transfer it to the paper, put the calculator on and post it out. No coffee, please. So, they criticized Donald Trump for being a racist, right? So, Donald Trump goes to black church and speaks to the black church. Now what do they say? He's pandering to the black vote. The man cannot what? Can't win. Meanwhile, Hillary's coughing up a lung. You know, I don't mind people voting for who they want to vote for. What I have a problem with is the media trying to tell us who to vote for. That's what I have a problem with. I've been having a problem with that for the last 20 years. And I follow politics. I've been following politics since I was 15 years old. And I'm tired of the media trying to tell us what to do. We want people to live on a plantation. We want people to come to our planet. Now it just irritates me to death when they do this. You know, I'm not going to say I think you're going by Wednesday. Because I think all the polls that they're using are trying to sway people to vote.
I understand.
They did find one poll that was totally botched up. They did find that. Now the polls are starting to go in his favor. But anyway, he's a racist and a panderer, so how can a man be a racist and be father-in-law to a person of Israel?
I got a problem with that. You're plugging in the X into the formula. So you do F of X plus H. Right in the split formula.
Right here?
Yeah. So if X equals X squared plus 2X.
No. You're not reading it right. What is this a fancy way of writing? This is Y. Y is equal to this.
Okay.
You plug in X to get what? To get Y. So this you plug in, and X you plug in, and X you don't have to plug in because it's already there.
I got you. But you replace the X into X is the X, Y, and X function. There X squared plus 2X.
No, I rewrote this right here. Right here.
And that's what the problem is.
And then this, that's why I drew the brackets. And then this is right here.
That's fine. The second part seems all right because F of X, that's what the X is. X squared plus
This,
2X.
yeah. But this, you gotta use f of x, and you gotta plug in, just like this. If f of x is equal to x plus 2, what is f of 3? You plugged in 3 into the what?
Into the equation.
That's what I'm doing with x plus 8.
Okay, so I was thinking that you just plug the X into the equation and move the X squared plus 2X plus H minus 7.
You've got to plug whatever's in parentheses here. You've got to plug that into wherever there's an x.
Okay, so this is
Just like you did here. If I had f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x, what's f of 2? That's equal to 2 squared plus 2 times 2. Wherever there's an x, you have to plug it in. So, if I draw it, what does it look like? Looks like a parabola. Check it on your graph. What does the graphing calculator say? Does it look like a parabola? All right, somebody pick a point on that parabola. Anybody? Like, give me an x. I'm sorry, what? I heard negative 2. So, y'all, where's it going? Is it going through the... Where's it going? Somebody tell me what's the y-intercept? Is it crossing the y-axis somewhere or what? I'm sorry, what? And then Enunciate, volume. Enunciate means clearly, volume means
I got
loud.
mine wrong, so I don't know. Mine just came up.
Okay, forget it. All right, you said -2, so I'm gonna plug in -2. And that's -4 plus 2. So the slope at -2 is equal to what? -2. So that means that the slope at -2 is going what? -2, somewhere in here, it's going what? It's going down. So somebody pick a positive point, X. 2. So that means somewhere in this area right here, wherever the graph is, 2 times 2 is what? 4. 4 plus 2 is what? 6. So at this point is 6. And that means it's going to be just like this one. Wasn't this one negative? No, that was -2. So it's going to be a little bit sharper. It's going to be like that. And that's what you're finding. You're finding the equation for the slope of the line at any point in space. At any point on the curve. Yes, ma'am. Yes, that's what we're finding. See, the secant line we care less about. The secant line turns into the tangent line. That's the whole purpose of the limit. Okay, remember me showing you the graphic? The green line turning into the blue line. The blue line is what you want. Remember the slingshot? That rock is going around in circles at the point right here. If I want to know the velocity or the momentum of that rock, the first thing I got to have is the tangent line. And the tangent line gives you all kinds of stuff in Calc 2 and in physics too.
The H that equals 0?
It approaches 0. It's the wall. Remember the 8, the blue?
Yeah.
The blue, the green X, or the blue X. The blue X is the wall. The green X is approaching the wall. Does it ever reach the wall? But what did I tell you to think of? The width of a what? Hair. Think of a width of a hair. That green X, that green X, and that blue X is a hair apart. And it turns the secant line into the tangent line.
You drew the line from -2, you drew it up in the air.
Because I don't know what the graph looks like. I know it looks like a parabola, so it looks, y'all wouldn't tell me where it crosses the y-axis because y'all tongue-tied or something, I don't know. But I would say it looks like a parabola like that or something, I don't know. Because y'all can't talk. Now, if you take it and go to your derivative, your first law of derivatives in calculus, f of x is equal to, what was it? X squared plus 2x. I'm going to write everything in terms of, remember I told y'all that every term has a coefficient and a variable? Remember me telling you that? So I'm going to write everything in terms of that. Okay. So the first rule in calculus that you're going to learn probably next time we meet, which is, I don't know when, Thursday, is going to be this rule right here. We're going to go ahead and start because I want to show you the relationship. Just bring this out here. Remember your power rule of logarithms? It's kind of like that. Bring it out front. Then your x, and then you do 2 minus what? Always minus 1. Always. It's always minus 1. So you need to highlight it in your notes right now. Highlight it, and say always minus 1. So you won't ask me that next week or whenever we come back. Okay? Do the same thing with this one. So what's 1 times 2? Well, it's 1 times 2 right now. And then I'll just write this 1 minus 1. Now, write everything out. What's 2 times 1? 2. X to the first power plus 2x to the 0 power. And your final answer is 2x plus what? Always, that's the rule. You always subtract 1 from the exponent. You bring power out, and you subtract 1 from the exponent. We'll go over it more in depth Thursday. That's Tuesday. Okay? Now, this is calculus. This is the calculus. Now, what does the calculus rule give you? It gives you the same thing as the algebra plus the limit. Y'all were supposed to soak that in and enjoy that moment. You didn't do that. You're not following my lead here.
Definitely 100% easier. I just don't.
What was your question?
The 2x0, where does the x go away?
Well, what's x to the 0?
Okay, I understand.
1. You're like my neighbor. I told you about the neighbor with the calculator, right? Hubert, she called him. Come down here. My daughter told me I use this calculator and I think it's broke. Okay, I'll go down. I paid $125 for this calculator and I'm going to take it back because it's broken. It won't even multiply 1 to the 29th power. It keeps giving me 1. How do you tell your neighbor that? Yeah. So I told her, I'll take care of this. You go back in the kitchen. That's all I said. Anyway, to make a long story short, x to the 0 power is 1. And that's
But I don't understand, if that's a square, that's x times x, how could you change that to 2 times x?
what are you talking about?
You take away the square root,
You are doing calculus. This is a rule. You're going to see this rule Thursday. Okay? I'm just showing you now because I want you to compare this answer to the answer you got on the previous problem. I'm trying to show a correlation here. Y'all are going under my correlation and trying to figure out what color is the sky. Okay? Don't do that. I'm just showing you what. Okay, now it's going into I suck mode. Whatever. What was your answer? What's the answer with calculus? So with calculus, now do you have to do all these steps? No. By the time next Tuesday rolls around, you'll know the basic law of calculus in your head. Okay? Now, y'all have had pre-calculus before. You've seen this before. Some of you have. Okay? This is your basic law. This is called the basic law of calculus. So let's do a nerd. And y'all gonna work on this one. Let me see what time it is because I don't want anybody getting fidgety because that gets on my nerves. We got 30 minutes. You're gonna work on this one. So you might as well just go ahead and quit. F of x is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 4. And you can use, these are good problems to do for this practice of the difference quotient, because not only can you do the difference quotient, but what can you do after you do the difference quotient to sketch it? Complete the square. So if you want to make up problems to do on paper, do the trinomials. If you don't quit and drop the class by then. I still think air is not on. I'll sit in my truck and get my cow guard put on. Some people call it a brush guard, but I don't go in the woods with my truck. But my cows are very tame. So when I check my cows, when I get up to a cow, they don't move. And sometimes they'll bump up against my headlights and on, what are headlights now? Plastic. I went through 3 headlights in that truck. So I put the brush guard on there so the cows, and I got a bull, he likes to put his head up against the truck whenever I come up. He likes to fight with the truck. Maybe it's because it's red. That same bull, when I feed the cows hay bale, I'll go up to him and bump him with the hay bale, and he'll fight with the tractor with the hay bale. He'll start butting the hay bale, start trying to. He's a funny bull. I had one that used to do that, got up about 2,500 pounds, and I stopped doing it when he actually picked up some of the tractor. I sold that bull about 6 months ago. He brought about $1.50 a pound, and I was very happy for 2,500 pounds. I was very happy because he was probably going to the steak and hamburger place. I hate to say that, but he's a good bull. What do you got a calculator for? You don't need a calculator for this, man. You just you still calculator for me. See, a lot of people meditating. Either you've quit or you're finished. I don't think you're finished because you haven't done complete the square yet. Or you just looked at it. I'll tell you what the answer is. The answer is 2x plus 2. Just like the last problem. Yep. What is your last name? I'm sorry. You got a twin brother. He's in my trig class, but I don't think his name is Patel. Sergio. I know his first name is Sergio. But y'all look like twins. Y'all do. Even the hair. Y'all got the hair, same hair cut. Really kind of creepy. No, I'm just kidding.
Is it everyone has a doppelganger?
Oh my God, I wish I could find mine and get me out of a lot of trouble.
I found the girl I went to this class with. She looked just like my best friend. I can show you a picture of in a minute, or I did if you know each other.
Huh? Let's see.
Has anyone completed conversations?
Huh?
Has anyone completed conversations?
No, I never heard that before. I guess that's a compliment. I wish I had his money. Dang old Star Wars. I just live off Star Wars. My son the other night, Daddy, put this down. Saturday night, Star Wars coming on TV. I said, we've already seen the movie 6 times. But I think, to me, that's what real, down-to-earth art is. When generations still love something. George Strait, Star Wars. When I don't know his art or whatever you want to call it. I mean, George Strait has been on the radio for 30-something years. My son loves George Strait. I still got an old tape of George Strait that I wore out when I was 18, 19 years old. That's when something is good, in my opinion. Squirrel. All right, y'all quit yet? Or are y'all still trying with encouragement and all that cool crap? I'm still trying. Okay. I'll wait till you give up. I'll put about 5 or 6 of these on the test. Not like this one, but 5 or 6. Difference quotient. Give me the equation. I think it's important for you to understand where the calculus comes from. And that's what it comes from. So, you had Galileo and what's his name with the apple, Newton. They're sitting back and they go, well, what if the limit approaches and you do this difference quotient, which is the slope, and you get down and you get this. And they said, well, why don't you just take this and you do this and do this, and boom, the calculus was born. Something simple as that. One of y'all figure out something like that, you don't have to work the rest of your life. So, f of x plus h, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite here's my f of x plus h. I rewrote my f of x, big set of parentheses, minus f of x, which is x squared plus 2x minus 4 all over h. And that's m because we're just doing algebra right now. I'm going to put x plus h here, and x plus h here. And that's going to give me m is equal to x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 2x plus 2h minus 4 minus x squared minus 2x plus 4 over h. Then you get your handy dandy red pen out, and the x squared goes out, the 2x goes out.
That second x should be 2h.
It probably was if I was going fast. Yeah, that's supposed to be h. There you go. Okay, and fours do what? And that leaves all what? And that usually happens. Now, you might get an x term left in there, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. It means that you have another, you might have a x cubed 2x squared. We're going to do that next, something simple. So that'll leave us m is equal to 2xh plus h squared plus 2h, is that it? Over h.
The second one, last term up there is 2x, move it to positive.
That's all right. I'm looking to make sure I got the right answer. I do. And what happens to the h's? H goes out there, leaves h there, and takes that one out. So you're left with m is equal to 2x plus h plus 2, limit as h approaches what? 0, it takes out the h. So the slope of the line at any point on the curve has an equation of what? Now let's go take the basic rule of math calculus. What's 2 times 1? What's 2 minus 1? Plus 1 times 2. And what's 1 minus 1? Once you can do the basic law of mathematics, you can do power rule, you can do the quotient rule, you can do them all day long. Notice I haven't pulled out the book. Notice I haven't pulled, the book will confuse you. All right? Don't look at the book right now, because they'll put all this f prime of x and all that, and then by the time you get through looking at the book, you'll be lobotomized. And you don't want that right now, because you're learning how to do algebra with limits and turn it into calculus. This is where you don't want to get confused. You can get confused later on, and I can work with you. All right? Don't get confused now.
Do you get rid of 4 because 1 less 1 0, so 4 is 0
Where?
with the multiplication of square plus 2x minus 4?
Right here?
No, very, very top place.
Here?
This is not going in. You get rid of that because it's going to the negative.
There.
Yeah.
It is right there.
No, like we did the short.
Yeah, when you did the calculus,
When
right.
you multiply it to 0.
Well, like I said, put in your x to 0. What's 0 times 4?
That's all.
0, x to the minus 1. And what's 0 times even point? And you'll learn that Thursday also. Y'all let me be in charge for a while. All right. F of x, that was good, is equal to x cubed minus 2x squared plus x. While y'all doing that, I'll get the roll. Because I know some of y'all getting fidgety already. I've got 15 minutes. Some of y'all starting to go into convulsions. Hopefully this will end the encouraging attitudes and hopefully bring in the negative I'm a loser attitude. Okay. Oh, really? Ahmed, Anderson, both are here. Caldwell, Flint Scales is here. Cook,
Here.
Fricks, Grant, Hernandez, Huth,
Here.
Johnson, Jordan, Marshall, Patel is here. Fan, Scobie, Salee, Sheep, Silver, and Tucker. Dang, everybody's here. I'm gonna have to get rid of some of y'all. All right. Y'all quit yet? You've got to, because there's a lot of algebra here, especially with that third term, because you're gonna have to break it up into this distribution. So, parentheses. Okay, I have nothing to write with. Okay. Oh, it's frozen. Dork. All right, parentheses cubed minus 2 times parentheses squared plus parentheses, that's my f of x plus h, minus f of x, which is x cubed minus 2x squared plus x, all over h. X plus h, x plus h, x plus h, x plus x squared plus 2xh plus h squared times x plus h minus 2x squared minus 4xh plus or minus 2x squared plus x plus h minus x cubed plus 2x squared minus x. Now we still got this booger to work out. So that's going to be x cubed plus 2x squared h plus xh squared plus hx squared plus 2xh squared plus h cubed minus 2x squared minus 4xh minus 2h squared plus x. That's supposed to be h because it's pen right. Minus x cubed, it's not my fault, Bush's fault. Minus x, and it don't write on the right side. 2x squared minus x, what is this supposed to be? Minus x, that's it. Now let's see. Now, will I know if I'm doing something wrong? Yes. Why? Because I'll have an x term in there or something won't work. Okay, so let's look. Do the x cubes cancel? That's a good sign. Let's see what else. There's an x squared. Is there another x squared somewhere? Yep. So far it looks pretty good. There's another x. Oh, there's an x that cancels. Well, it looks like we're doing pretty good. Now we got nothing but what? H's. So that means that we're on to something. So we take our handy dandy black pen and let's put some stuff together. X squared h. There's one. So I'll do a little circle around that one. Circle around that one. Let's look for another x squared h. Any other ones? Nope. So 2 plus 1 is 3. X squared h. Xh squared. Xh squared. So what's 2 plus 1? 3. H cubed by itself. And 2h squared, oh, there's an h right there. So it looks like that h. Okay, that's plus h plus 2h squared. Y'all check me, minus 2h squared. Y'all check me, what'd y'all get? I got this, Hubert, I got this, Hubert, I got this, Hubert. That's right, Hubert. Thank you, class. Appreciate the interaction. Y'all are going to make this a long and drawn-out class, aren't you?
No, we're just not as fast as you.
Oh, I thought y'all were finished. I seen everybody not working. Y'all going to have to start doing this. That way I know you stopped. Okay? H, that goes to H, that goes to H squared, that cancels, and that goes to 2H. I don't like that H right there, that bothers me. I don't think that's right, but we'll look. 3x squared plus 3xh plus h squared plus 2h. And, I didn't hear you. Oh, thank you. Can't help having a laser up here, later spend time to do it. All right, that'll go out, and that'll go out, right? So that leaves you with 3x squared. Oh, that's 3 steps up, okay. There, 4x, okay, that comes down, minus 4xh. Okay, good, minus 4x. There we go, thank you. Minus 4x. Because the h will go out with this. Thank you. Now, let's see. It's supposed to be a 1 somewhere. Where? In fact, right here. There's, okay, that is a 1 right there. Plus 1 there. And of course, if you take the derivative of this, that'd be 3. And what's 3 minus 1? And minus, what's 2 times 2? and then 2 minus 1, and then x to the 1, and that'd be a 1. So do my answers match? But look at all that you had to do. And look what the calculus did. Calculus, algebra with limit theory. Now, how many of you had calculus before? Except for you, Mr. Constable, you haven't made it. You ever made this connection? You did? How about you? You made it? Any others in calculus? Never made the connection? Then that tells me you had problems with the properties. Now, the basic property I've shown you, all right? After that, there's 2 ways to show the quotient rule and the product rule. The way the book shows it, and then the way I show it. The way the book shows it, like I told you, can confuse you. The way that I show you, I just do it like I learned it when I was a student. That's why you don't see it in the book. First times derivative second plus second times derivative first. I put an F, and then I put S prime plus S times F prime. And that ain't in their book. Okay? But you can remember it, and you know what to do when you do the product. So, when y'all come in Thursday, we will be going over and as long as I don't have 15 students up here asking me questions, I'm going to assign the homework, which will be quotient rule and probably the first derivative rule, so you'll be ready for Thursday. Because we're going to go over 3 or 4 rules Thursday, and there'll be nothing but calculus. Okay? So that means you're probably going to be having a test coming up pretty soon, probably next week, and it's going to be algebra review, trig review, that homework, which won't be much, and then you'll have difference, quotient, and limits. So you need to write that in your notes. Algebra, trig, review, limit, or those 2 sections of limits that we went over last Thursday, where you took the limit and you plugged in the limit and you got a number, or you used algebra to get rid of something. That's and then difference quotient. 80% of your test will be the difference quotient. So if I give you 20 questions, 16 to 18 of them, 16 of them are going to be pretty much difference quotient. Well, maybe 15, maybe 14, something in there. Okay?
Can we use that calculus?
No, I want you to use that. Because technically you don't know the calculus yet. You don't know it, but you can check your answer with it. All right, y'all get out of here. I'll put the homework up as soon as y'all get out of here. Hopefully I'll do it right this time. If I don't, then I'm a loser.